It looks like a shoebox on wheels, costs more than most houses, and somehow every rapper, royal family, and reality TV star wants one. Yep, this is the Mercedes G-Wagon. But here's the twist. This luxury status symbol wasn't born for Beverly Hills or Instagram likes. Nope. It was born for war zones, deserts, and mountain trails. Basically, it was meant to take bullets, not selfies. So how did a rugged army truck transform into the ultimate billionaire toy? Buckle up, because the history of the G-Wagon is just as boxy and just as legendary as the car itself. Believe it or not, the G-Wagon wasn't originally designed for celebrities or CEOs. Nope. Its story starts in the 1970s with the military. Back then, Mercedes-Benz got a call from a surprising customer, the Shah of Iran. He was a big investor in Daimler-Benz at the time, and he wanted a tough, go-anywhere vehicle for military use. Translation: give me a car that can survive a war. So Mercedes teamed up with an Austrian company called Steyr Daimler-Puch. Together, they cooked up a vehicle that was basically a rolling tank, but with headlights. Boxy shape, ladder frame, solid axles, locking differentials. This thing was built to laugh at mud, rocks, and snow. If a goat could climb it, the G-Wagon was expected to follow. By 1979, the first G-Class, short for Geländewagen, which literally means cross-country vehicle in German, officially launched. And it was no joke. Militaries across the world bought them. Germany, Norway, Argentina. Even the Pope later got one. Yes, imagine a Pope mobile, but boxy, armored, and still weirdly fashionable. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't luxurious. It was pure function over form. In fact, the early versions didn't even have air conditioning or leather seats, just a steering wheel, some pedals, and enough metal to stop a bullet. It was tough, rugged, and very German. Basically, if a Land Rover was the cool British adventurer, the G-Wagon was the stubborn German soldier who refused to quit. But here's where it gets interesting. Mercedes realized that maybe, just maybe, civilians would want this unbreakable machine too. And that decision, to take a military truck and sell it to everyday people, would change the G-Wagon's destiny forever. In 1979, Mercedes decided to do something bold. They released the G-Wagon to the public. And, at first glance, it didn't exactly scream luxury. It was still boxy, still rugged, and still looked like a military truck that accidentally wandered into a dealership. But surprisingly, people loved it. Farmers, adventurers, even European families who wanted something different. They all lined up for a piece of this rugged beast. It was reliable, it was unstoppable, and it had just enough Mercedes DNA to feel special. During the 1980s and 90s, the G-Wagon slowly started to evolve. Mercedes added more comfort, things like better interiors, automatic gearboxes, and yes, air conditioning, so drivers didn't have to sweat through their shirts while climbing mountains. Different versions appeared too, short wheelbase, long wheelbase, even convertible versions with a soft top. You could basically pick your G-Wagon like you'd pick your outfit, rugged, practical, or a little stylish. And here's the funny part. While it was still a tough off-roader, people began buying it more for the image than the mud. The G-Wagon wasn't just a workhorse anymore. It was slowly, quietly, becoming a status symbol. But the real transformation, the one that would catapult the G-Wagon into superstardom, came when Mercedes gave it to their wild child, AMG. By the 1990s, the G-Wagon had earned a reputation as a solid, rugged off-roader. But Mercedes wasn't done. They wanted to spice things up. And who better to call than AMG, their in-house performance wizards. In 1993, the first AMG-tuned G-Wagon hit the roads. And let's just say it was ridiculous. Imagine a military truck boxy as ever, but now with a V8 engine under the hood that roared like a beast. It was like putting a rocket engine on a brick, unnecessary, hilarious, but absolutely perfect. The G-Wagon AMG models, especially the later G55 and eventually the G63, completely changed the game. Suddenly, the G wasn't just tough, it was fast. 0 to 60 in just a few seconds, while still being able to climb a mountain if you asked it to. Talk about overachieving. And here's where the celebrity love affair really began. Rappers, athletes, movie stars, they all wanted one. The G-Wagon wasn't just transportation anymore. It was a statement. A box-shaped V8-powered way of saying, "Yes, I have arrived." From muddy battlefields to Hollywood driveways, the G-Wagon was reinventing itself. And in the 2000s, it officially became the ultimate status symbol. By the 2000s, the G-Wagon was no longer just a car, it was a cultural icon. What started as a rugged military truck had now become the favorite accessory of rappers, royals, and reality TV stars. The G-Wagon showed up in music videos, in Hollywood movies, and in the driveways of the rich and famous. If you had money, you had to have a G. It didn't matter if you lived in the desert, the jungle, or just downtown Los Angeles. The G-Wagon instantly told the world, "I've made it." And the funny part? Most of these celebrity-owned G-Wagons never saw mud, rocks, or off-road trails. Nope. They spent their lives cruising smooth city streets, stuck in traffic, or parked outside luxury boutiques. The toughest off-road machine in the world reduced to valet parking duty. But it didn't matter. The boxy design became part of its charm. While other SUVs tried to look sleeker and rounder, the G stayed the same. It was unapologetically square, and that stubbornness made it even cooler. By the 2010s, with the mighty G63 AMG leading the pack, the G-Wagon had officially cemented itself as the ultimate luxury SUV. It was a status symbol, a fashion statement, and still, deep down, a serious off-roader. A strange combination, but it worked. But Mercedes knew it couldn't keep the same design forever. Which is why in 2018, the G-Wagon got its biggest update in nearly 40 years. In 2018, Mercedes did the unthinkable. They redesigned the G-Wagon. But here's the genius part. At first glance, it looked exactly the same. That boxy, iconic shape? Untouched. The flat windshield, the exposed door hinges, even the thunk sound when you close the door, all still there. But underneath, everything was new. A wider body, more interior space, better comfort, advanced tech, and a suspension system that finally made the G ride smoothly on normal roads. It was like the G-Wagon had gone to finishing school, but refused to change its outfit. Of course, the AMG G63 became the crown jewel. With its roaring twin-turbo V8 engine, crazy horsepower, and a soundtrack that makes supercars jealous. The G-Wagon could now go from 0 to 60 faster than some sports cars, while still climbing mountains and crossing rivers if you asked it to. And today, the G-Wagon is everywhere. From the garages of billionaires and athletes to your Instagram feed, dripping in custom wraps, oversized rims, and matte paint jobs. There's even an all-electric version on the horizon, the EQG, promising to bring the G's legacy into the future without losing its soul. From Battlefield to Beverly Hills, the G-Wagon has done it all. And through every era, one thing has stayed the same. It's not just an SUV. It's a legend on wheels. So there you have it, the incredible journey of the G-Wagon. Born as a military workhorse, tough enough for war zones, and now one of the most glamorous and recognizable luxury SUVs in the world. From mud and mountains to music videos and mansions, the G-Wagon has literally done it all. And the best part? Through all these decades, it never lost its identity. It's still that unapologetically boxy, rugged machine that laughs at trends and refuses to blend in. In a world where cars keep changing faces, the G-Wagon said, "Nope, I'm staying square." And that's exactly why people love it. So the next time you see a G-Wagon rolling down the street, remember, you're not just looking at a car. You're looking at nearly 50 years of history, culture, and attitude packed into 4 wheels and a lot of straight lines. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this ride through the G-Wagon's history, smash that like button, subscribe for more epic car stories, and let me know in the comments, would you take a G-Wagon off-road, or just keep it clean for city flexing? Either way, one thing's for sure, the legend of the G-Wagon is here to stay.